Hi everybody, Lisa here from Cool Kids Hub. Today I wanted to talk about what does a sleep schedule look like for a 5-month-old. Now at that 5-month mark, you're probably going to start to see a lot of sort of physical changes to your little one. They're going to start vocalizing more, start more gurgling and cooing from them. They're physically becoming stronger. So some little ones are already rolling over or learning to roll over. They might be cutting their first teeth. They're starting to show an interest and be much more interactive when they're in their awake periods. They might be doing things like playing with rattles now, wanting to bang on things with some help from you, showing an interest in toys like stacking rings and stacking cups. So these are all major changes that your little one is going through, and they can sometimes disturb their sleep. So first of all, how much sleep does a 5-month-old need? Well, typically at this age, they still need between 12 and 16 hours of sleep within a 24-hour period. They will nap generally 2 to 3 naps, and each one of those naps can be anything from an hour to 2 hours in duration. They can stay awake now for around 2 to 2.5 hours, obviously depending by baby, but generally their awake window is now starting to extend a little bit. And you should be getting some really good chunks of sleep at night. At this age, babies do need that sort of 10 to 12 hours of sleep at night. Now, some babies are definitely still waking up to be fed, but some babies now are sleeping good chunks. Don't worry if your little one is not yet. Your little one will get there. And remember also that babies that are exclusively breastfed tend to drop that final feed later than babies that are bottle fed. If you're exclusively still breastfeeding, you might be getting 6 or 8 hour chunks and not quite getting those 10-hour chunks yet, but your little one will start to extend those out. So at this age, you still want to be developing those healthy sleep habits in your little one. So how can you do that? Well, first of all, you want to have a consistent bedtime, not only in terms of time, but also in terms of routine if you don't yet have one. Now, ideally, you'd like your baby to be going to bed somewhere between that sort of 7 to 8 p.m., not much later than 8. So if your little one is going down later than 8 p.m., start to move their bedtime forward. So if they go to bed at 9 now, move it forward to maybe 8:45, wait a few nights, let them get used to that time, move it forward to 8:30 until you get closer to that sort of, like I said, between 7 and 8 p.m. mark. And also you want to make sure you've got a bedtime routine. If you don't already have a bedtime routine, now's the time to really put that into place. That bedtime routine shouldn't take more than about 30 minutes. It really doesn't have to be complicated, and it's about following the same pattern. So it might be bath, maybe you give your little one a baby massage, put them in their pajamas, a final feed, and then a book or a lullaby and put them down for bed. And you follow that same pattern every night, because this is what sends those sleep signals to your little one that's now is the time for sleep. You obviously also wanted to help them practice all these newfound skills that they're learning, because these can disturb their sleep. So when they're awake, help them to practice those skills like to rolling over onto their tummy by giving them plenty of tummy time. Some of them might even be trying to push themselves, up to start crawling. So make sure that in their awake time, you're giving them plenty of opportunity to practice those skills. The other thing is you want to start, or if you're not already, trying to always put them down for sleep in the same place, preferably within their cot or their crib. Now, this isn't always possible for every nap. I know that if you've got other children and you're busy on the go, it's not always possible. But where possible, try to put them down for their naps and obviously their bedtime in the same place, and that should ideally be within their cot or their crib. The other thing you want to do is make sure you're checking for those signs of tiredness. You know your baby better than anybody else. Make sure that you're looking for those signs and you're really getting your little one down to sleep before they become cranky and overtired. Maybe your little one rubs their eyes a lot or tugs on their ears or sneezes. Just start to look for those signs and make sure that you're getting your baby down to sleep before they become, like I said, overtired, because this really is then a struggle for your baby to get to sleep. Now, in terms of what a schedule looks like, please remember schedules are just guides because every baby is different. Some babies are going to be only having 2 naps, some are going to be having 3. Sometimes your baby might sleep for an hour and sometimes they might sleep for 2 hours. So you need to be flexible. I will put a link to a sleep schedule for a 5-month-old in the description of this video. It is based on a little one having 3 naps and 2 hours of awake time. But if your baby can go 2.5 hours, then obviously the times will be different depending on where your baby is at. Are they napping twice or 3 times? And also how long can they sustain awake time before they're tired. Now, another thing a lot of parents say is, can I sleep train a 5-month-old? Now, sleep training often conjures up these terrible images for a lot of parents of their little one crying. Remember that it is about creating healthy sleep habits more than just about training. I think the word sleep training often brings these terrible images to parents, but it's not about that. It's about helping your little one to sleep well and develop healthy sleep habits. And there are 5 different sleep training methods you could use, which go from very, very gentle to quiet out. And so I'll also put a link in the description to this video to an article around the different sleep habits, as well as a video that I did on the different sleep methods. But you want to choose a method that is right for you and your little one. If your little one is still dependent on you to get them to sleep, so in other words, you still have to rock them or shush them, pat them, feed them, then you might want to consider sleep training. And like I said, choose then a method that you feel comfortable with and that you know is right for you and your little one. Now, what are some of the problems that you might experience with your 5-month-old's sleep? Well, the first one is crankiness. Now, this could be for a number of reasons. Like I said, at this age, they can start cutting teeth. So that's often a big cause of crankiness at this age. Look for those signs that they're cutting teeth, because sometimes you don't see them, but they're starting to teeth. Some of the signs are, where you'll see lots of dribbling and drooling, rash on the chin. So look out for those kind of signs, because chances are your little one's teething, and hence the reason that they're so cranky. And honestly, you've just got to go through that period, because some babies sail through teething and others really have a tough time with their gums. If you're really concerned, talk to your pediatrician or doctor around what you can use, to help with a little bit of pain. Teething rings are great to help them, get rid of some of that just pain on their gums while they are teething. The other thing is that at this time, another sleep problem is this transitioning from 3 naps to 2. So what happens when your little one's transitioning, sometimes you run out of time, because they can go for longer wake windows, there's no longer any time to go down for a 3rd nap, and you eventually end up having to drop that. But what a lot of parents find, especially when your baby first transitions from sort of 3 down to 2 naps, is that then they're awake for too long before bedtime. So be flexible. As they transition from 3 naps to 2, you might have to move your bedtime forward just a little bit for a few nights until they get used to sleeping only the 2 naps. So again, if you currently your little one goes down at 7:30, yes, you might have to put them down at 6:30, and then you'll move your bedtime slowly back to the 7:30 or 7 o'clock mark once your little one settles into their new nap routine. I will also put a link to the description of a video that I did around how to best transition your little one from like 3 naps down to 2 or 4 down to 3. The other thing that you might find is that they're waking up frequently at night. Now, some babies, there's the 4-month sleep regression. This is when your baby, and I'm sure you've either gone through that, or if you haven't yet, you've heard about it. But with the 4-month sleep regression, your little one's sleep cycle is maturing. So their sleep cycle is going from that of a baby to more of an adult sleep cycle. And what this means when this happens is your baby's spending more time in that lighter stage of sleep. And as a result, this can cause them to wake up more frequently. If you're finding your little one is waking up frequently in the night, it could be because either it's still them settling into their new sleep schedule or sleep as a result of 4-month sleep regression, or maybe your baby's a little bit, when I say delayed, I mean that they're going through this 4-month sleep regression a little bit later, and they're actually going through it at 5 months. And this can sometimes depend on if your baby was born, say, early. Technically, they're 5 months, but really they're only 4 months old. So, you might find that the reason that they're waking is because they're actually going through their 4-month sleep regression, or they're at the end of the 4-month sleep regression and they haven't quite settled into their new routine. Now, if this does happen and they are waking frequently at night, try not to respond straight away. If you hear them at night, just give them a few minutes. I'm not saying let them cry for hours on end. I'm just saying give them a few minutes to see if they settle back on their own. And if they don't, go to them, but keep that interaction with them to a minimum. Try, you're not switching on the lights or having, major interactions with them. Keep it to a minimum, some gentle shushing to try and get them back to sleep. And really, those are some of the sort of problems that parents find with their 5-month-old in terms of sleep. That's it for today's video. Remember, the key thing with your baby's sleep is consistency. Consistency in your bedtime routines, consistently trying to put them down whilst they're drowsy but awake, especially if your little one is still a little bit dependent on you to help them get to sleep, and really just creating those healthy sleep habits in your little one. That's it for today. Bye for now.